So, if I told you that I was looking at a town with, brick-paved streets, these quaint 19th century Victorian homes, and a main street that looks like it was lifted directly out of a hholiday movie.
Well, totally, like a postcard.
Exactly, like a total postcard. You probably wouldn't expect the real estate listing in my hand to have a price tag of, well, $5.45 million.
You definitely would not.
Right. But anyway, welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a pretty massive stack of sources today covering 2026 real estate marketing materials, some neighborhood guides, and just a slew of active property listings for a place called Zionsville, Indiana.
Yeah, and our mission today for you listening is to really decode these materials, right? We want to understand the anatomy of what makes a highly desirable modern suburb in 2026.
Definitely.
Because we're analyzing a town that has somehow, engineered this really delicate balance between historic 19th century charm and just truly explosive upscale growth.
It's wild.
It is. And we want to figure out what these specific 2026 listings actually reveal about the psychology of the modern luxury home buyer.
Yeah, because it's such a wild contrast to process, honestly. When you hear Midwest suburb, I think the default image for most people is usually like endless, perfectly identical cookie-cutter subdivisions.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe a strip mall with the same 3 chain restaurants on every corner, right? But these marketing materials are just throwing out phrases like storybook New England town in one breath, and then casually dropping, multi-million-dollar mega mansions in the next.
It's quite the juxtaposition.
It really is. I mean, reading these descriptions, Zionsville sounds like a meticulously curated movie set. It feels like a Hallmark movie, but one funded with a Wall Street budget.
Oh, that is a highly accurate way to frame it, especially when you look at the actual demographics that are supporting this town.
Right, the numbers are crazy.
They are. So Zionsville sits about 20 minutes northwest of downtown Indianapolis, and it has a population hovering around 33,000 people. And the median household income is sitting at over $150,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So the really fascinating thing to analyze here is the mechanism behind that wealth. Why is this specific storybook aesthetic so incredibly valuable to a high-earning demographic right now?
Well, I would imagine it largely comes down to the narrative. Like, nobody with a massive budget wants to feel like they're just buying drywall in a 2-car garage.
Yeah, they want an experience.
Exactly. They want a story. They want to feel like they are purchasing a piece of history, even if their house was literally built like 3 years ago.
Yeah, but I think the psychology actually goes even deeper than that, because highly paid professionals often have these incredibly high-stress, tech-driven, hyper-connected work lives.
Oh, for sure. Always on their phones, always working.
Exactly. So preserving that 19th century historic flair, like the brick-paved village center and the craftsman architecture they highlight in the guides, it offers an analog escape.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
It creates this narrative of timeless charm with modern growth. They are basically buying the illusion of stepping back into a simpler time, a place where you just chat with your neighbors on a brick sidewalk.
But they absolutely refuse to actually sacrifice refined elegance or modern convenience to achieve it.
Precisely. They want the look, but not the actual inconvenience of the 19th century.
So they get the Victorian visual aesthetic on the outside, right? But they still have the high-speed fiber internet, the smart home automation, and a massive chef's kitchen just hidden on the inside.
Yeah, it's basically having your cake and eating it too.
Right.
And that duality acts as a highly effective magnet for wealth. The town isn't just selling houses at this point. They're selling a very specific identity.
I totally get that. But, a Hallmark movie aesthetic doesn't just naturally guarantee a strong economy.
No, it doesn't.
Because there are lots of historic towns across the country that are, well, practically ghost towns, or they really struggle to maintain their basic infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely.
So how is Zionsville actually managing the kind of growth we are seeing in these documents? Because the numbers for the 2026 market are just striking. The median home value is sitting between like $650,000 and $675,000.
Yeah, and according to the guide, that reflects a 6% year-over-year increase.
Which is huge.
It is huge. In real estate terms, a steady 6% compounding growth in a suburb is a very strong indicator of sustained structural demand. It means the town isn't just experiencing a temporary fad, or a sudden bubble.
Right, it's consistent.
Exactly. People are fiercely competing to get in, and the supply of that specific lifestyle is inherently limited.
You know what really caught my eye, though? The range of what you can actually buy within those town limits.
Oh, the price spread is fascinating.
It's a massive spread.
Yeah.
Like, on one end, looking through the active property listings, there's an accessible entry point. There's this property on Duke Drive listed for $238,000.
Right, which is pretty reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Yeah.
And you also see properties in the $300,000 to $400,000 range on places like Red Barn Drive or Emerald Lane in neighboring Whitestown. But then,
When you look at the peak of the market.
yes, you look at the peak of the market, and it is staggering.
This is where that Wall Street budget you mentioned becomes very literal.
Oh, totally literal. I am looking at a massive estate listed on South 950 East for $5.45 million.
Incredible.
Just to put that into perspective for you listening, this house has 5 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms, and over 11,800 square feet.
And the crazy thing is, it's not a lone outlier.
No. The sources show another home on Templewood Drive for $4.6 million and one on Bloor Lane for $4.45 million. Right, how does a single Midwestern suburb sustain that kind of extreme price gap?
It's a great question.
Like, how do you have a $200,000 home sharing a zip code with a $5 million mega estate?
So it creates what economists sometimes call a barbell effect. But in a functional community, those two extremes actually support each other.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, the high-end estates generate a massive municipal tax base, right? And that funds the pristine parks, the brick-paved streets, and all the public amenities that make the town attractive in the first place.
Okay, I see.
And then the entry-level homes provide accessibility for essential community members. Young professionals or the municipal workers who actually keep the town running day to day.
That makes sense.
But a gap that wide requires a rock-solid foundation. The physical charm might bring people in for a weekend visit, but you don't drop $5 million just because the local coffee shop has a cute awning.
Right. So what actually sustains the development of a nearly 12,000 square foot estate with 9 bathrooms? Because it's not just the bricks.
No, it's not. We have to look at the structural infrastructure supporting these premium prices. The aesthetic is the hook, but the infrastructure is the anchor. And according to the data we have, that infrastructure really boils down to 2 critical pillars: access and education.
All right, let's unpack the access part first. Because the guide highlights that Zionsville offers a 20 to 25-minute commute to Indianapolis via Interstate 65 and Interstate 465.
Yeah, very commutable.
But they use this very deliberate phrase in the marketing. They call it a favorable reverse flow for city professionals.
Oh, man, that phrase is a real estate goldmine.
Is it?
Absolutely. Because it targets a very specific pain point for wealthy buyers, which is time. Favorable reverse flow means you are essentially driving against the heavy traffic.
Oh, right. So you're leaving the city when everyone is coming in.
Exactly. When everyone else is stuck in bumper-to-bumper gridlock trying to get into the city, you are just cruising.
Wow.
For a high-powered executive whose time is quite literally money, buying a home that guarantees a stress-free 20-minute commute is an incredible luxury. It adds hours back to their week.
That makes total sense. You're basically buying back your own time. But the second pillar they highlight is even more intense, I think. The school district.
Oh, the schools are everything.
The sources say Zionsville Community Schools rank in the top 20 statewide. And Zionsville Community High School specifically is ranked number 3 in all of Indiana.
Which is a huge selling point.
Massive.
Yeah.
They boast a graduation rate of over 98% with these highly touted STEM and college prep programs.
That statistic right there is the true engine of the suburb.
See, wait, here's where I kind of have to push back on this whole premise.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because I look at these $5 million listings, the 9 bathrooms, the custom estates on the golf courses. You do not spend $5 million just for a high school STEM program.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, you can find a 98% graduation rate and good college prep in some boring, generic grid suburb for a fraction of that price.
That's true, you can.
All right. There are plenty of towns with great schools that do not have $4 million homes. So the aesthetic, the exclusivity, the storybook charm, that has to be the primary driver of these massive price tags. People are paying millions for the fantasy, not the math department.
I get why you'd say that, and it sounds completely logical on the surface, but let's look at how wealth preservation actually operates when you are tying up millions of dollars in an illiquid asset like real estate.
Okay.
Yes, the historic charm gets them to fall in love with the idea of the town, but high-performing schools act as the ultimate financial firewall.
A firewall.
Yeah. When the broader housing market gets shaky or, interest rates fluctuate wildly, towns with top 3 high schools rarely see their property values crash. Parents will sacrifice almost anything to keep their kids in a district with those metrics.
Oh, wow. So you are saying the schools basically act as an insurance policy for the $5 million investment.
Precisely. It's the opposite of a gamble. The luxury buyer might be drawn to the brick streets, but their financial advisor, or just their own business sense, needs a rational justification to sign a massive mortgage.
Right. You need the numbers to make sense.
Exactly. The top-tier school district guarantees that there will always be a desperate pool of buyers waiting to purchase that home when they are finally ready to sell. It is the unglamorous, heavy-duty foundation that allows the luxury market to exist on top of it without collapsing.
Okay, I see your point. The charm is the marketing, but the school district is the actual risk mitigation.
Exactly.
But what fascinates me is how this town caters to those buyers once they actually arrive. Because when you look at how the real estate market in Zionsville is physically laid out, it is not just one big homogeneous blob of expensive houses.
Not at all.
The town has actively curated these different microclimates to capture very different types of buyers. Reading the neighborhood breakdown, it honestly feels like a choose-your-own-adventure novel for wealthy home buyers.
That segmentation is such a brilliant developmental strategy. Developers learned long ago that homogeneity eventually kills growth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because if a town only offers one type of lifestyle, they cap their own market. What did you notice about the specific neighborhood breakdowns in the guide?
Well, it really depends on what kind of character you want to play in your own life. Like if you want walkability to boutiques and cafes and you love the idea of sitting on the porch of a restored Victorian home, you choose the historic village.
Right, and that targets the urban-suburban hybrid buyer. They want the safety of a small town, but they demand the lifestyle of walking out the door to get their morning espresso.
Exactly that vibe. But then if you are a high-level executive who wants to live on a meticulously manicured golf course, you choose the Willows or Holiday Farms.
Yeah, completely different feel.
Completely. The sources describe these as prestigious luxury communities with custom homes, lakes, and resort-style living. Then on the other hand, if you just want to disappear into the trees and not see another human being...
You pick Stonegate or Irishman's Run.
Yes. Those are spacious estates on large wooded lots designed for maximum privacy and seclusion.
And think about the life cycle of a buyer here, too. Like, say you have a young professional couple who just had their second child. They might start somewhere else. Where does the town point them?
Oh, they are steered directly toward Austin Oaks, Eaglewood Estates, or Wolf Run.
Right.
Because those are family-friendly, newer builds. They have extensive trail systems, playgrounds. The town basically offers a very specific menu of curated lifestyles.
And by segmenting the town this way, Zionsville ensures they don't lose a potential buyer just because one specific architectural or lifestyle need isn't met.
That's so smart.
It is. If a buyer says, hey, I love the firewall of the school district, but I hate old drafty houses, the agent can just pivot and show them a modern new build in Wolf Run.
Right.
And if they say, I want extreme privacy, not a neighborhood playground, they get pointed to Irishman's Run. It keeps the wealth inside the town limits by adapting to the buyer's evolving needs.
It is incredibly strategic. But once a buyer chooses their specific neighborhood adventure, how does the town fulfill their day-to-day expectations?
That's the next big hurdle.
Because if you are living in a multi-million-dollar estate in Irishman's Run, you aren't driving 20 minutes to eat at a generic fast food drive-thru.
Definitely not. The local amenities have to match the weight of the mortgages. If the town cannot provide a premium daily experience, the whole illusion of the luxury suburb shatters.
And according to our sources, they definitely deliver a highly curated lifestyle package.
Oh, they go all out.
Yeah, for dining, they highlight upscale seafood at Noah Grant's Grill House and Oyster Bar. You can get coastal dishes at the Tipsy Mermaid or fine steaks at Bowdy's Chop House.
And don't forget the wine tastings at the Grapevine Cottage.
Oh, right, the wine tastings. And for recreation, they aren't just relying on regular neighborhood parks either. They feature expansive nature escapes like Eagle Creek Park and Starkey Nature Park, alongside local art walks and seasonal farmers markets.
So what you're describing there is a closed-loop luxury ecosystem.
Closed loop.
Yeah. You never physically have to leave the suburb for high-end entertainment, dining, or nature if you don't want to. It creates a self-sustaining microeconomy that just constantly reinforces the town's premium brand.
Which perfectly brings us to the source behind all this data. And it is a really fascinating piece of the puzzle.
It really is.
The information we are analyzing today actually comes from Cara, who is listed as a realtor broker. But her bio is incredibly telling about the state of real estate in 2026.
Extremely telling.
She is not just selling houses. The material specifically highlights that she is certified as a negotiation expert and a luxury home marketing specialist.
And you have to pay close attention to that title. A luxury home marketing specialist operates on a completely different frequency than a traditional real estate agent who's just showing you square footage and closet space.
Yeah, the source notes that she uses cutting-edge digital technology and a highly strategic approach for deal-making. Let's expand on that choose-your-own-adventure metaphor from earlier.
Yeah.
An agent like this is effectively the dungeon master of the entire experience.
I love that analogy.
Thanks. She profiles the buyer, understands their psychological needs, and then steers them into perfectly engineered microclimates.
That is a phenomenal way to look at it. She is mashing the digital footprint and the emotional desires of a buyer directly with a physical piece of geography.
But there's a deep irony here that I really just cannot get over.
What's that?
Well, you have these buyers who are drawn to Zionsville specifically for its quaint, old-world, brick-paved, 19th century charm.
Right. They want the analog life.
Exactly. They want a slower, simpler life.
Yeah.
Yet they're being guided there, targeted, and sold to by a highly strategic, tech-forward luxury specialist using digital algorithms, market analytics, and advanced negotiation tactics.
It's true.
The very thing selling the analog dream is basically the pinnacle of digital precision.
It is an irony, for sure. But it highlights a massive shift in how we view property now. People are no longer just buying homes, they are buying identity subscriptions.
Identity subscriptions, wow.
Yeah, a specialist like Conde isn't just selling a 5-bedroom house on Templewood Drive. She is bundling a lifestyle subscription and getting the buyer to opt in.
So she is selling you the 98% graduation rate to ease your anxiety about your kid's future.
Yes.
She is selling you the 20-minute reverse commute so you can actually be home for dinner. And she is selling you the feeling of walking down a brick street to get upscale oysters on a Friday night.
Exactly. It is a highly engineered, emotionally resonant package. The physical house is just the anchor point for the entire identity subscription. The digital technology and the marketing expertise are just the tools used to seamlessly connect a buyer's deep psychological desires with the right brick-and-mortar reality.
Man, it really is a masterclass in modern suburban planning and marketing.
It truly is.
So, to distill this entire stack of sources down for you listening, Zionsville represents a perfect case study of the 2026 real estate landscape.
Yeah, it hits all the markers.
It has successfully blended 19th century aesthetics with 21st century amenities. It leverages world-class schools as an economic fortress against market volatility. And it features a highly segmented, thriving housing market that caters to every conceivable flavor of the upscale buyer.
All held together by that closed-loop ecosystem of luxury dining and recreation we talked about.
Exactly.
It just demonstrates that the most successful suburbs of this era are the ones that can offer the safety and space of traditional suburban life, but elevate it with the cultural amenities and architectural character of a historic city.
For sure. So I want you to reflect on your own hometown, or just the neighborhood you live in right now. Think about the invisible engine that is driving your local real estate market.
It's a fun exercise.
Is it the historic charm that brings people in? Is it a specific school district holding the property values up? Or is it simply the convenience of the commute? Because once you start looking for these structural pillars, you stop seeing just houses, and you start seeing the underlying machinery of desirability everywhere you go.
It completely changes the way you view the geography around you. Every restaurant, every park, every school district, it's all a data point in a much larger economic narrative.
And as we wrap up this analysis, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Okay.
We have spent all this time discussing how Zionsville is perfectly engineered with luxury amenities, advanced marketing, and a Wall Street budget to attract a wealthy demographic.
Right.
But if a town is constantly optimizing for luxury and curating an exclusive closed-loop ecosystem, what happens to the authentic small-town spirit they are actually selling?
Oh, that is the ultimate paradox of desirability. Can true quaintness survive the massive wealth it inevitably attracts?
Does that Hallmark movie magic eventually just become a premium commodity packaged and sold by marketing specialists? Do the brick-paved streets lose their authentic history when they become nothing more than a backdrop for $5 million estates?
It's a great point.
It's definitely something to think about the next time you find yourself strolling down a perfectly preserved, charming main street in any town.
A profoundly important question to consider as these markets continue to evolve.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.